Hey, welcome back to Baseball University Swing Analysis Series. This is the second go around at this, and again, we're just trying to help profile different types of athletes, especially at this middle school age where body types are very different. They're changing every day. Um, Today's an interesting player. This is Mason. Got a lot of time as a sixth grader last year, especially with the bat. It shows you too, like that's a unique experience. Most of the teams we played were eighth grade heavy, as most are in better programs. Um, we're still trying to build, so we were looking for players that could basically handle the situation, some baseball IQ, and so we had about 4 sixth graders get significant time last year, and Mason was one of them. But his stat line, especially on the analytics side, was very interesting. His contact percentage led the team with 70%, but he batted zero. And I'm not trying to fault him for that. It just shows how the range of 90-foot bases and how we probably could benefit from some sort of a JV alternative rules for a JV team at the middle school level where, have a varsity that plays 90 foot, but maybe play pony rules or something, shorter bases, let these kids swing some -8 bats. But yeah, Mason's got a good swing. We take a look at a few here. The first thing I noticed was his little setup reminds me a little bit about, BJ Upton's lower half. You can see that leg move here. Here comes the swing. He's got that little toe tap, boom, shows his heel. Actually, his first swing, he does a little bit sharper. Shows that heel to the pitcher. I like that setup. I like a lot of different types of swings. I say, your load, it's really what works for you as long as you get to that good A-frame, good strong lower half torque. The reason I like this type of setup is because you can see with that torque, it kind of gets your leg ready to fire. Get that kind of seam on the pants. They say if you see that seam turn in, kind of rotate and you show them that butt a little bit, that picture, that butt side, that's a good sign that your hips are going to work well through the swing, which they do, for sure. Little leaky, little drifty. You're going to want to, when you stride through, you're going to want to make sure you're staying centered. Remember, the whole point of doing the whole toe tap is that the foot actually stays, for when you fire, it actually stays right where the toe tap is, but you can see you take it just a little further. You take almost like a second stride, which is probably unnecessary. The second thing that I saw, and this is good to look at here on, I think this is a pitch you take. Yeah, let's watch that at full speed. Watch your hands right before the swing. Got good wrists. They're loose, but watch. Whoop, bat drops. See that? Right before the swing. Your hands got real loose. That they say, a good rule of thumb here is you want those hands, that knob, essentially, of the bat to be pointed back at that catcher's mitt. And that barrel tip right over top your head. You can see this player back here. He's actually got a little bit more exaggerated stance here, but that's essentially it. Want those hands pointed back, barrel tip up, and that'll help you work your hands and stay down through the baseball, stay in the lane of the ball, because you see it really dipping a little bit on some of these swings, like coming way underneath. And right there's a good example too. You can see where kind of cut across the ball, right? Hands drop. You really want to come down and then through that baseball. You can see there's not the, you gotta get a little bit better elbow separation. His hands are not going directly to that baseball when we drop like that. For the most part, I like your setup. It's an athletic setup. Maybe just start cocking those hands a little bit in the swing a little bit, just to kind of remind yourself, as you go through this change, to get those hands, there's that knob pointed back a little bit. Again, I like the setup. Your head's down, the legs are working good. There's a couple balls here later in the at-bat you really hit well. Got a knack for barreling it. Your hands want to work. We just got to get them working a little bit better. Again, a good athlete, a good baseball player that's probably not benefiting from these heavy bats. But, you know, he does well. He's got a pretty good swing. I expect him to keep getting better. He'll be one that will probably benefit from some of these movement over maxes exercises we're doing, learning how to use the core a little bit. He's got a chip on his shoulder too. You know, he's one of those kids that you know, he wants to be one of the best. He's not a bragger or a pompous child at all, but it's just like, it's a good way to be. You know, you want to do the best you can be. You know, be the best you can be. Want to perform. Takes the game serious. So let's take a look at some professional swings that I think will help you kind of see the difference between what you're doing and what you could be doing, and you know, hopefully you can make these applications yourself. All right, first one we're going to look at, like I said, B.J. Upton. You can see again he's got that toe tap. There's the heel pointing at the pitcher. Watch where his hands are. See where that bat barrel is. Alright. Heel drops. See where that bat is. See, you got the potential to have that. That knee buckles. Boom. Heads down on it. He's a short stride. He's got that toe tap. Let's take a look one more time. Turns that heel. Boom. Toe goes up. Basically just a toe tap, then the heel. Alright. Go back and take a look at you for a second. Boom, boom. The only real difference right now is just those hands, just trying to work on those hands a little bit. So, and I can see there's a little bit of a soft front. You can tell at times you are overstriding just a little bit, getting that weight. You need to get that weight barred a little bit more. Like right there, you can see the weight coming. Keep that weight centered a little bit more. You can take the step. You know, you've already, that might be where you just stretch your stride out a little bit. Because remember, he lifts that toe, he goes, you take that extra step a little bit. So learning to bring the toe up, tap it, and come straight down. You leak a little bit there. It's going to take out that hip power. It's going to leak that hip power a little bit. So again, you can see the soft front there a little bit too, with the right there, that soft knee. So the other film I want to show you too, just in case, like for example, because if you start loading those hands a little bit better, you know, the next progression in a, you know, if you wanted to abandon the toe tap at some point, a lot of times, you know, it's just about a lift and go. It's a kind of the same concept. You find your center, you just lift and go. And B.J. Upton's brother, Justin Upton, actually has kind of that next progression that batters take sometimes when they decide to change out. I'm not saying you need to. I'm just saying watch his swing here, where it's essentially the same concept, where instead of the toe turn, he just brings that hip up and he holds it, and when he's ready, he puts it down in the same exact spot. So again, let's go back here. So again, before he starts, take note where his foot is, right? Comes up, holds, basically right back to the same spot. Same spot, right when that heel goes down. Now, if that's an off-speed pitch or something, he might stay up on that toe. Like when he lands, if it's off-speed, he might try to stay. That's where, see, watch his weight transfer on this one. See, it's there. Now, it's not that he's bringing all the weight with him. He's staying centered. He's staying centered, and the foot comes down. And that allows him all that force from that powerful stride and getting those hands ready. Lock with that knee. Boom. Right through. And with all that power, torquing through, getting back up on that heel, I'm just saying, I can see you at some point wanting to move to a stance like this where it's more of a lift and go, especially when you get stronger. These bats are heavy for these kids. It's frustrating for me as a coach to have to watch 11 and 12-year-olds try to swing a -5, and even 14-year-old 8th graders wanting to swing a -3. It's just swing the lightest bat you can. It's all about that bat speed, bat control, So again, let's look at you one more time on a few swings. Looking at that weight shift. Let's focus on that weight shift right there. That's a good example. So remember, the Justin Upton one we saw, he pulls it back, stays centered, but look at you bring all that weight forward. You got to stay barred and balanced. So that's going to take away a little bit of your balance, like landing on that heel with that weight shift. It moves the head a little bit. Watch the head move a little bit here. So again, it's a high pitch too. The legs are trying to work. You're close. You're close for sure. Let's see. So the last one I do want to show you here too is Evan Longoria. A lot of ex-Tampa Bay Rays today. So Evan Longoria in this particular setup here, I really just want you to watch his hands. I thought this was a good video to show you, again, what your hands are doing versus what a proper swing is going to look like here. So again, he's got a little short stride, a little step and go. Stays centered. You can see right here, all that weight stands centered. But right there, again, right before the swing, there's those hands pointed back towards that catcher's mitt. Bat's right above the tip of the head. And, let's show you again what we're doing here in our swing. So again, that bat drops. Those hands are pointing more towards that visitor's dugout, that visitor's side. And that's where we're going to lose a little control with those hands. And you got good hands. But again, watch that that barrel here. Right before the swing. Dropping. Stay high. Stay a little bit higher with those hands. Get them back. Get those hands back. All right. Well, like I said, that's a promising young athlete right there. He's one who's pretty gritty, wants to be better, probably a little too hard on himself sometimes. It's always interesting. I'm reading this book right now. It's called Movement Over Maxes. It talks a lot about this age group where the body's mature. It's such a different, it's basically a three-way split. It's like 30, 30, 30, 30, of like an overly mature body, right on target, and under matured. And the book talks a lot about how some of the best athletes come out of that smaller, not quite developed, their body takes a while to grow. Some of these kids that max out early in their growth, that's where they do not progress much in high school, especially if they dominate at a young age. There's no incentive to work hard, especially in this generation. It's a lot like water, path of least resistance, and if it's easy, they're going to go to it. But we're trying to figure out how to create more athletes that can have a DIY approach, do it yourself,